Did you know that a brand could take your UGC video and use it forever without paying you another dime if you don't set clear usage rights? Crazy, right? That's why this video is a must-watch for anyone creating UGC. In this video, I'm breaking down everything you need to know about one of the most overlooked but most important parts of UGC deals, and that is usage rights. I'll cover everything from what usage rights are and how they can impact your earnings, the different types of usage rights brands will ask for, and what they actually mean, exactly how to charge for them to make sure that you're getting paid what you're worth, and stick around to the end because I'll share some less but still common types and potential types of rights that brands might ask for that could cost you big time and how to avoid those. If you've ever wondered how to protect your content and maximize your income, this is the video for you, so let's jump right in. So what are usage rights? Simply put, they define how a brand can use your content and for how long, because you are technically the owner of your content and the brand is only granted permission to use it. So for example, can they post the video only on their Instagram, or are they allowed to run it as an ad? Will they use it for a month, or will they use it for a year? So these details are crucial because the more a brand wants to use your content, the more you should charge for it. Whenever content is exchanged, usage rights should be outlined in a contract. This ensures both you and the brand know exactly what's being agreed upon, and it protects you from situations where your content is used in ways that you didn't consent to or didn't get paid for. Here's why this matters. So if you don't set clear usage terms, a brand could use your content indefinitely, even running ads for years without paying you a cent beyond your initial fee. Now, by outlining usage rights in your contracts, you can stay in control of how your content is used and you can charge fairly for it. If you don't yet have a UGC agreement to cover yourself in these situations, I have a highly recommended UGC specific agreement by the legal doer that you can find in the description below. This is an affiliated link, however, this agreement has been trusted by many creators. It comes with a UGC contract template, a contract amendment template, UGC creator outline of must-have legal terms and items to address/negotiate with the brand, and legal training videos to help explain it all along with potential liability and pitfalls. Now again, I'll leave it in the description below if you're interested in grabbing that. There are multiple types of UGC usage rights. I'll go more in depth about each one in the video, but to give you an overview, they are organic media rights, general paid media rights, whitelisting/creator licensing/spark ads/dark posting, and editing rights/raw footage, and perpetuity. Each type of right reflects how your content will be used, so understanding these categories is key to protecting and pricing your work effectively. Starting with organic media. This is one of the most common types of UGC rights you'll come across. So what exactly is organic media? Organic media refers to content that a brand uses in a non-paid natural way. So think of it as the content you create being shared on their social media platforms, their website, or even included in their email newsletters. The key here is that the brand isn't putting money behind your content for ads. Instead, they're using it to keep their feed or online presence fresh and engaging. Here's how organic content usually plays out. So a brand might post your video on their Instagram or TikTok feed. They could feature your photo on their website's products page, or your content might be included in their email campaigns to connect with their audience. It's a simple and cost-effective way for brands to showcase relatable content without diving into paid ads. Now let's talk about rates for organic usage. So this is usually covered in your base rate for the project. So for example, if your base rate for a UGC video is $300, that includes organic rights for the brand to share it on their socials, website, or emails indefinitely. Since it's kind of hard to track an organic piece of content and posts that are live on their feeds until you delete them, which brands typically won't do, so it's just best to include that in the price. If the brand plans to use your content beyond organic purposes, like running ads or using it for paid campaigns, that's when other usage fees kick in. So organic use is the baseline, and anything extra should be an additional charge. You always want to make sure your contract clearly states that organic usage is included in your base rate and defines what that means. So this helps avoid misunderstandings later, especially if the brand decides to use your content in ways that you didn't agree to. Next, I'll dive into paid media usage rights and how to price for them, so do stick around for that. But before I move on, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you never miss a video from me. Moving on to paid media usage category. So for this, I'm going to break it down into two categories, including general paid media and creator-centered paid media. Now that second one isn't an official term, it's just kind of how it makes sense for me to break it down for you. General paid media is when a brand has your content and uses your content that you specifically created for the brand in paid advertisements across platforms like Facebook, TikTok, or even YouTube. This is one of the most common ways UGC creators get paid for their work, and it's important to understand how it works and how to price for it. These kind of ads are usually run from the brand's social media or advertising pages, so you'll see the brand name handle either in the top corner or bottom corner, depending on which platform that they're running the ad from. And when a brand does this, they're paying to have your content seen by a much larger audience than their organic reach. And they're usually targeting specific demographics. A few examples of general paid media can look like the following. A brand might pay to run your video as an ad on Facebook or Instagram's feed or stories. They could run it as a TikTok ad from their page on TikTok, or they might want to run your content on YouTube as part of a pre-roll ad playing before other videos. Unlike organic usage, which is typically covered by your base rate, paid media requires additional fees because it's a more extensive use of your content that is helping the brand make sales, aka money. So generally you should charge 30% extra of your base rate per month, and this can be for 90 days, 6 months, or whatever you agree upon. But let's just say in our scenario, you agree to 90 days and your base rate is $250, then you'll add 30% to that, which is $75 per month, and times that by 3, which makes it $250 for the base rate of the video, plus 3 months of usage is $225, which means the total will be $425. If they want to keep running the ad for longer than 90 days, you can charge them for an additional 3 months or more. It's important to note that these fees do reflect the value of your content. I'll talk about the controversies that creative strategists and marketers have with this type of calculating usage rights a little further in this video, and I'll give you a tip on how you can navigate around it. But before I do, I wanted to get into the other types of paid media beyond the typical brand ads you might be familiar with. There are several other ways brands might use your content for paid promotions, specifically through whitelisting, dark posting, and spark ads. These are all powerful forms of content amplification that brands use to maximize their reach, and as a UGC creator, it's important to know how to charge for them. Let's start with whitelisting, which is essentially when a brand gets advertiser access to your social media account, whether that's Instagram, TikTok, or even Facebook. The brand will use this access to run paid ads directly from your account. They'll put money behind it, and the ad will appear in your feed just like a regular post. So for example, I recently did a campaign with Nature's Way where I posted to my feed and I granted them access to run it as a paid ad from my account. Whitelisted ads tend to perform better than if the brand runs the ad from their own account because it comes directly from a creator's or consumer's profile, which builds trust and authenticity. But here's the key part. You should charge extra for that. So since the brand is getting direct access to your personal account, the ad will be seen as part of your content, and that's valuable. Typically, you'll also charge 30 to 40% of your base rate per month for whitelisting rights, just like for regular paid media ads. So if your base rate video is $250, you will charge an additional $75 per month for the brand to run ads through your account. Now, this is just a starting base. If you feel like it is worth more, please charge more. Next, let's talk about dark posting. So this is similar to whitelisting, but with a twist. Now with dark posting, you don't post the content to your feed natively. Instead, the ad runs through your social media as a sponsored post that's visible to users, but doesn't appear in your actual feed. The brand will still get access to your account to run this ad, but it's more discreet. So dark posts allow the brand to run targeted ads without cluttering up your feed with sponsored content, which can sometimes feel a little off-putting to your followers. For this type of media, you'll also charge around 30 to 40% of your base rate per month, just like with whitelisting, because the reason for this is that the brand is still using your account and your content for paid promotion, which requires additional compensation. And lastly, let's talk about spark ads. So a spark ad is a paid ad on TikTok that uses organic posts from the platform to promote a brand or product. Spark ads look and function like regular TikTok posts, so they integrate seamlessly into the user experience. Just like whitelisting and dark posting, you should charge 30 to 40% of your base rate per month. And this is for the brand to use your content in a more paid, amplified way without appearing directly in your feed. So whether it's whitelisting, dark posting, or spark ads, understanding how to price these types of paid media is crucial to protecting your work and making sure you're getting paid what you deserve. Always make sure that these details are clearly outlined in your contract. And again, if you do need a robust UGC agreement that you can use when working with brands, I've linked my go-to in the description below. Now let's talk about editing rights, or more commonly known as raw footage, two things that can really add value to your content and as a UGC creator. They're essential to understand when it comes to pricing. So raw footage refers to the unedited organic video or image files that you create. It's the untouched material straight from the camera, and it's typically larger in size and offers more flexibility for the brand to work with. A brand will sometimes ask for raw footage so they can have full control over editing the footage and make limitless repurposed versions with your content. This means they can make changes such as trimming the video, adding graphics, changing the music or adjusting the colors, basically altering the content to fit their specific needs or brand style. How do you charge for this? Well, for raw footage, typically I believe that you should be asking anywhere from 50 to 60% of your base rate or whatever you feel comfortable with here. This extra fee accounts for the time and value that you're providing by giving the brand control over your original content and the amount of content that they can make from just one piece of raw footage. You also can't really put a cap on how long they can actually repurpose this content for because it's just too hard to keep track of. So you'll definitely want to charge accordingly upfront. So let's say your base rate for video is $250. If the brand asks for raw footage, you should increase the rate by 30 to 60%, which would bring the total anywhere from $325 to $400 depending on the agreement. I personally still think charging more is not unreasonable for raw footage because the more flexibility you could give them with that content, the higher the charge should be. This next type of usage is one that can be confusing when it comes to whether or not it should be granted to a brand, and that is perpetuity. This means that the brand has access to your content for however long that they wish. Now, this can sound scary because anything could happen in the future, like maybe you become a public figure and the brand is still using your imagery or likeness. Or they may have severely underpaid you to make hundreds and thousands of dollars for being able to use your video for as long as they'd like. Some creators prefer to give limits to brands on their usage. However, the landscape is changing in 2025 where it's much easier for both you and the brand to allow them to use the content for as long as they wish. Brands simply don't have the time to track every single ad and when their licenses are renewing, and honestly, brands love to work with creators who just make it so easy for them. At most, I believe a brand will use your content anywhere between 12 to 24 months because products change, brand vision might change, and the ad might get stale. Therefore, if you wish to grant a brand perpetuity, just be sure to include it in your initial price to the brand, which in the next section, I'll talk about the 2 approaches of how to charge usage rights. But before I do, there are 2 types of usage rights that I don't recommend agreeing to, especially as a UGC creator. These are exclusivity and transfer of ownership. While they might sound tempting in the short term, they can severely limit your freedom and earning potential in the long run. So let's break it down and talk about what you should do instead. First up, exclusivity. So this is when a brand asks for exclusive rights to your content, meaning you can't create content for any other brand that is deemed a competitor. So for example, if you sign a contract to be exclusive with a stainless steel tumbler brand like Stanley, and they only paid you $300 for a video, and now Zax comes to you offering a package deal for $2,000, you won't be able to accept that campaign based on your exclusive contract with Stanley because you locked yourself into only working with that one brand for a certain period of time. If you have multiple brand partnerships agreeing to exclusivity, that can prevent you from maximizing your income by working with other companies in that niche. So I personally would never do this unless the brand was paying a significant amount of money. So instead of exclusivity, you should offer a limited term agreement. This allows you to work with competitive brands after a certain period, whether it's 6 months or 12 months, giving you the freedom to create new opportunities while still respecting your contract with the original brand. Don't limit your earning potential and instead keep your options open and negotiate for flexibility. Now let's talk about transfer of ownership. This is when a brand wants to take full ownership of the content that you create, meaning they can do whatever they want with it, use it indefinitely, and even sell it or transfer it to someone else. You essentially give up your rights to the content and the brand owns it outright. This is a huge red flag because once the brand owns your content, you lose all control over how it's used. They could resell it, alter it, or use it in ways that you never intended. Plus, you won't be able to reuse the content for your own portfolio, social media, or future brand partnerships. So instead of giving up full ownership, you should license your content with the mentioned methods in this video. With licensing, you allow the brand to use your content for a specific period or purpose, but you retain the rights to your content. This gives the brand access that they need to promote their product, but you still own the content and can use it for your portfolio or other opportunities down the line. Now, there are many ways to package usage rights into your agreements as a UGC creator, and understanding how to structure and price them is essential to your success. So one common method is what they call the 90-dayer, where you include the 90 days usage rights as a standard. This gives brands time to test the ad on different platforms, adjust audiences, and tweak captions. If the ad performs well after 90 days and they want to continue using it, you would offer a renewal contract. It's a great way to maximize earnings from successful content without creating something new. So some marketers and creative strategists really don't like this approach because they may need more time to test an ad and don't want to have to keep monitoring and keeping track of every single agreement that gave them only 90 days of usage. So they prefer to work with creators who are more easygoing and can offer longer periods of usage, which is why I like to use the hidden fee approach, where instead of charging separately for usage rights, I will charge my base rate and tack on the number of months that the brand would want to use the video for from the beginning. So for example, if a brand wanted to use my video in perpetuity, and say that we know that's anywhere between 12 to 24 months and the base rate video is $250, would add 30% usage per month, which is $900 for the year, plus the video base rate, which could be a total of $1,150. Or if you want to double that to make it 24 months, you could do that as well, and it would be around $2,000. This eliminates the need for awkward conversations about additional fees and makes the process frictionless for the brand. I personally don't like to do more than 12 months of usage rights in my contracts because most often the brand won't be using the content for longer than this, like I mentioned earlier. However, the simplicity of this method makes brands more likely to return for future campaigns. Whether you prefer the 90-day or the hidden fee model, the key is to be clear in your contracts and ensure you're compensated fairly while protecting your content. I hope this video helped you understand UGC rights and how to protect and charge for your content. If there's two things that you got out of this video, make sure that you let it be this. One, just always make sure to include your usage rights in your contracts. Be super clear about where, how, and for how long your content can be used. And secondly, make your boundaries clear and make sure you charge accordingly to cover the value that the brand is receiving. Your content has power and you shouldn't sell yourself short. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss out on tips to grow as a content creator. And if you're ready to take your UGC agreements to the next level, be sure to grab the recommended UGC agreement template linked in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.